let's review some palettes, shall we? I've done one of these videos before where I've taken a bunch of...
You want to hear palettes, Shelly?
Oh my god, that scared the fuck out of me, Alexa. Fuck you. Hi guys, my name is Lacey, I speak of fat hips, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. What are my hands doing in every single video? God help me. I've done one of these videos before where I've collectively reviewed all at once a bunch of palettes that I've been meaning to review because I got backed up on reviews, which is definitely the case today because I'm behind on videos. So that's what we're going to do again today because honestly I also kind of like that format a little bit better than just doing one dedicated review per thing, because sometimes my opinions on palettes aren't that extravagant or deep that they require their own video unless, like, for instance, they have a lot of shades that need to be talked about or a lot of different formulas or the brand itself needs to be talked about, blah blah blah. So this is like an accumulation of reviews that needed to happen that I promised you guys. These are all, ironically, for Lacey. These are all more on the neutral side of things. I know, who am I? These are a lot of palettes that I've actually been wearing to work because while I can wear pretty much whatever makeup I want to for work, it's in my best interest to not go looking like a crazy person and to actually try to tone it down because I am dealing with people in the public. So yeah, that's kind of like, maybe I'll call this like what's new in neutrals, because these are more neutral palettes for what I would typically wear or promote on this channel. I want to just start off strong because if you know me at all, you should not be surprised that I picked this palette up and that it's in this review video right now. This is the Warrior palette from Juvia's Place. You guys know I am a diehard lover of Juvia's Place. I own every single Juvia's Place palette and I was not about to let this one go either. This is like Juvia's Place's first truly neutral palette. They have, I think it's the Nubian 1? Their very first eyeshadow palette was like a warm neutrals palette. This is a neutrals palette. And it's not, like I said, it's not like them at all. But I think a lot of people are excited about this palette because a lot of other Juvia's Place palettes have been very scary to a lot of people who aren't used to color or are not comfortable with color. So for the reasons why I love Juvia's Place, I love they're colorful, they're bright, they're a great formula, they're affordable. Those things can maybe scare other people who don't want something like the Masquerade palette. It's going to be mostly pinks and blues and purples. So I bought this mostly to complete my Juvia's Place collection. I think if I wasn't a collector of Juvia's Place, if this was just like another brand that had released this, I probably wouldn't have been interested just right off the bat. But I can very happily report that this is the same quality that I would expect across the board for Juvia's Place palettes. So what I mean by that is their mattes are extremely nice and extremely blendable. You do only get 3 in this palette though. So I can see that definitely being a downside for some people. For me, I'm less pissed about that because I tend to use Juvia's Place palettes all in conjunction with one another, meaning if I'm pulling one out, I'm probably pulling 2 or 3 or all of them out. So this makes sense because they don't have anything else like this in their collection. So you can definitely use it on its own or pair it with those other more colorful palettes to get something more toned down or more just varied. The star of any Juvia's Place palette to me though is going to be the super metallicized, super foiled shimmer shades. I do love a gold eyeshadow, which may surprise a lot of people, but like these these are some like wet feeling, silicone-y, oily, high shine, beautiful shimmers. Like I can't exaggerate these swatches. They just are that amazing and they look that amazing on the eyes. And especially if you're using your finger to apply them or like a stiff synthetic brush, which is what I use, or you wet them, whatever, you can achieve that level of crazy high shine on your eyelids, which I think is what most people love about Juvia's Place. Also, the pans are big enough so you can use them as face highlighters, which I've done before. Amazing. Super blinding. But yeah, I think this is definitely the Juvia's Place palette for people who have never been interested in Juvia's Place palette in the past. Like for instance, I'm pretty sure I heard Samantha March talk about this in a Will I Buy It and said that exact thing. Like she wasn't interested in past palettes, but she's interested in this one. Also, for someone like me who has the whole collection, I do think this rounds it out pretty well. Because like I said, they have nothing like that. While other brands have 8,000,001 neutrals palettes, they don't. I do wish there was just one more matte. I wish there was another brown, which again is weird for me to say, but I feel like 6 metallics in a 9-pan palette is a little ridiculous. I think one of these could have been kicked out for at least one other matte, but very beautiful. Same Juvia's Place quality that I love. Pigmented, affordable, creamy, smooth, amazing. Highly recommend if you don't already have 9mm1 Neutrals eyeshadow palettes, which I'm sure most people watching this video probably do. The thing I like about this though is most neutral palettes are like warm neutrals. This is a neutrals palette, which I really appreciate. Also the artwork, always amazing, always. I'm only going to touch on this briefly. And the reason why I'm only going to touch on it briefly is because, this is the Malika palette from Blush Tribe. The reason I'm touching on this briefly is because I have another Blush Tribe palette in my collection that I'm still testing out, and another Blush Tribe palette, a second one, or a third one I should say, on its way in the mail to me right now. So I kind of want to do a collective review of the entire brand, but this is the Malika palette and I've been really loving this palette, and I think Angelica has also said this and I agree. This is what I thought Jeffree Star's Blood Sugar palette was going to look like. So when I saw the colors I was like, I'm placing a Blush Tribe order. These are the exact kind of eyeshadow formula that I love the most in life. These are super creamy pigmented mattes, and I love creamy feeling mattes, like where they kind of have a little bit of like a silicone texture but not a lot. They're very pigmented and they're very easy to blend. They do, because there's that like dimethicone feeling, they could muddy together very easily for that reason, so less is more with the formula like that, but it is the kind of matte eyeshadow formula that I prefer. There's only 3 shimmers, which contrast to the Juvia's Place palette. I wish there was more shimmers. I wish, because there's these beautiful reds, purples, I wish we could maybe kick out some of these browns and get a gorgeous metallic pink, a gorgeous metallic red, a gorgeous metallic purple, just to go with these other beautiful tones that are already in this palette that make me love it so much. Because obviously there's 101 warm neutrals palettes in the world. There's 101 warm browns, but this has pinks and purples and reds and oranges, and I just feel like it would have benefited from having shimmers in that same color story. The shimmer formula though is also just equally nice to the mattes. I feel like my fingers are now stained from swatching those mattes, but they're also very high shine and pretty. So I've been really enjoying this formula too, and this palette specifically, and like I said, that's pretty much where I'm stopping that, because I do want to do a collective Blush Tribe, again with the hand gestures, I want to do a collective Blush Tribe video once I start using their other palettes a little bit more. But I'm really excited about the brand Blush Tribe as a whole. I feel like their releases have been very exciting, and the owner seems like a very sweet person, and I'm just like, I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see where the brand goes beyond this. I want to touch on this real quick. I'm pretty sure tonight I'm going to film a whole video dedicated to Kat Von D and all the drama and what I feel about that. I want to bring this up because I had teased when I was going to do a neutrals video that I was going to include this palette in it. And for the sake of saving what I have to say for the rest of the Kat Von D video, I'm going to basically deliver point blank what I was going to say before all the drama with Kat Von D happened. This is just an okay palette. It's not spectacular. It's not something that I feel like you need to run out and get. Before everything happened, I was fully prepared to get on camera and tell you guys that the reason why I wanted it so much was because I was a Kat Von D supporter and I wanted her artwork and to celebrate her anniversary. Those opinions from me have since changed. So if you feel yourself like, what am I going to do? I wanted that anniversary palette so much. Please know that I'm speaking with all of the honesty and truthfulness in my heart, that I was honestly, even before all the drama was going to happen, get on camera and tell you that you could definitely skip on this palette if you had colors like this already in your collection. These cooler tone shadows don't perform that great. These warm tone ones you have 110 times over in your collection. These metallic shades don't impress me that much. They're very glittery, and it's just not what I expected overall, even like I said, even before everything else had happened. Also on that note, I had gotten the Metal Crush highlighter in Gold School, and I'm super not impressed with this as well as a lot of other reviews have been, because this is just gold glitter. That's all this is. This is a streak of gold glitter on your face, and it's just super not flattering. It's not impressive, and unless you're going for a streak of glitter on your face, it's not what I expected it to be. And again, that was fully going to be my opinion before all of the crap happened, and it's my opinion now. And like I said, I will be delving more into that in its own dedicated video, but I didn't want to leave the people hanging who were waiting for me to comment on those items. So they were meh products before, they're meh products now. Jumping to something a little bit more exciting though, and that I do think is really cool. This is Lucid Dream eyeshadow palette from her Mannerisms, which is not a brand that I had heard of before this popped up on my Instagram. This is a hefty, huge, if a burglar came in right now, I could kill them to death with this palette. Like, this weighs a fucking ton. Like, when you guys were saying that the shipping to get this to Canada was outrageous, and I imagine it's because this weighs so much, but this is a cool palette. It's huge, it's black. I know people are kind of over big palettes right now, myself included, but work with me for a second. So it's lucid dreaming. It has the definition of a lucid dream on the back. It says, a dream in which a person is aware that he or she is dreaming. While lucid dreaming, the dreamer can control the environment and outcome of their fate. It's important that you live your life conquering your dreams. The more impossible it sounds, the more invincible you become. And it has their logo on it. When you open the mirror, hey, that's you. When you open the mirror, it says, you are dreaming. And then these are the colors. So this actually is probably the least neutral palette in this whole video. It's actually pretty much mostly a colorful palette. I want to talk about this. I wasn't originally going to include this in a review. Well, that's a lie. Originally I was going to have, this is so hard to hold up. Originally I was going to do a whole dedicated review for this palette, and then I just thought it wasn't worth it because my opinions, like I said in the beginning, are rather simple about this palette. So I figured I would include it here because to me, this is the ideal pop palette. So I made a video recently talking about pops of blue and how pops are really in right now, pops of color. This is the only pop palette you would ever need in your life. One, because it's gigantic and you can kill a bitch. But two, this palette is designed very smart to me because you get a row in the middle of just all the neutral matte shades that you would need, and then you get all of these gorgeous metallic colorful shadows. And the only real neutral metallic that you get is this gold shade, because even this white shade is a duochrome blue. I don't know if it picks up on camera. I had never heard of this brand before. This palette is really freaking cool though. These metallics, talk about dimethicone metallic dreamy goodness. Look at that red. I wore that red eyeshadow to work, which again, not really work appropriate, but people all day were like, oh my god, your eyeshadow. This matte formula, I'm gonna be real, isn't my favorite matte formula. I do wish for as bright as these outer layer metallics were, that these brights were just all amped up a notch in like vividness, because these are pretty like blonde neutral. These metallic, those are everything. They're so high shine metallic, silky, silicone-y goodnesses. I will say, if anyone is familiar with the Makeup Addiction Cosmetics formula, which I've raved about in the past, this is identical to their formula. And I did look, both of their eyeshadow formulas are made in the People's Republic of China. I'm not saying anything conspiracy, allegedly, my opinion, but I was reminded right away of Makeup Addiction when I play with these eyeshadows. I've been using this palette a lot. I know it doesn't seem it because it's the biggest palette on the planet, and it would take 9 of my lives and then some to ever hit pan on any of these. But I feel like if you're someone who's like, I don't have a good pop palette, like I said, this has got you covered. But I think if this is the size of this is intimidating to you, the new, it's not so new now, but the Makeup Shayla ColourPop collab is virtually a smaller version of the same thing. You could easily get away getting that. The mattes are fine. They're not my favorite. They blend nicely. They're not as vivid as I wanted. Whatever. But a good palette. If you were eyeing it and you really loved these colors so much, I could safely recommend it to you. But look out for a coupon code, because that's how I got this. I wouldn't have bought this full price. There was a coupon code that took the price down and also gave me free shipping. That's why I bought this. So look, follow their Instagram and look out for that. And then finally, we're getting to the palette that probably the most of you wanted to hear me talk about. This is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Nudie Patootie palette. I was not planning on buying this palette. I am not a Laura Lee fan. I actually used to be a huge Laura Lee fan a couple years ago. I'm currently, not that I like hate her, I just am not, I don't know, I find more happiness in my smaller YouTube community. And plus, like, neutrals, nudes, not interested. However, the reviews started coming out and then I started seeing looks done with this and I changed my mind. Specifically, I think it was Jen Love's review that changed my mind. This is a palette of nudes, as the name suggests. And for me, really looking through my collection, I don't have a lot of true nudes. I have a lot of warm neutrals. I don't have these like cooler tone grungy nudes. I have the Naked palettes that don't really get my heart going for nudes that much. This palette is really fucking nice. It really, for my skin tone, for someone as pale as me, these shades come up very grungy on me and I like that. And I feel like because I'm more on the neutral side of the skin tone spectrum, like my undertones are very neutral, this doesn't come off too harsh on me. I know some people have said with their specific undertones it looks either ashy or sickly on them. This works very well for me. And I really like, I'm very pleasantly surprised because I was not for her brand, especially Cat's Pajamas. I thought that palette was jumbled, that it didn't make sense, the marketing didn't make sense, the naming with the packaging, with the theme was so all over the place. This to me looks like she really listened to people's opinions. The palette itself is very beautiful, it's very sleek. I love that with the packaging you're getting the point across that this is a nude palette. It's bigger than I thought it would be. It has her logo. Like, I think she definitely took opinion, like everyone's critiques in mind. You get the mirror that's not obstructed in any way. The names are on the packaging. All the names are slang words for being naked, which a lot of people find annoying. I do think it's cute. I think it's perfectly in theme. And I think this is a good palette. The mattes blend like a dream. They really blend so nicely. And I use this palette in a Get Ready With Me that I didn't really talk about makeup at all in that Get Ready With Me. But you can see me using this. I'm not struggling to blend anything. I'm mostly just blending a lot because I'm in mid-sentence and I really, when I do Get Ready With Me, just do the same makeup step over and over because I get lost in thought. And like, I have no affiliation to Laura Lee. She doesn't know who I am. I'm not a fan of hers. This is a 100% unbiased, I bought this with my own money, hardy hard kind of review. I really like this palette. The mattes are so nice. They're not like crazy pigmented, but they do their job. They do their due diligence. They're nice and creamy. They blend extremely well. And I really like the shimmers. I know a lot of people have a problem with these like thicker, kind of chunkier, glittery shadows. I like that she was straight up with her packaging and said like they're best used wet or with the glitter glue. I agree. I would highly recommend using the shades Au Naturel and Jaybird and maybe even Buff with the glitter glue because they are chunkier and like I always say they have a thicker grain texture than these other shades like Uncover and Topless and Stark. You're going to want a glitter glue or else you're going to get glitter all over your face. My battery is dying, I don't know. Then you get the more finer grain, more workable kind of metallics up top. This is a really nice palette. The only thing, if you're going to call it a nude palette, it's got to look nude on everybody, and it doesn't. It definitely doesn't. This is definitely a palette that is meant for light to medium skin tones, and that really sucks for the medium to deep people of the world that wanted a palette like this for them. And I think it's a shame that she didn't do maybe like a volume 1 and 2 of this, because I think if she had, she would have fucked the game up for sure. Like, if I'm thinking of like Lunatic Lab Cosmetics, their contour palettes that have a volume 1 and 2. If she did something like that with this, people would go nuts because this really is a beautiful formula. I really enjoy these more metallic shimmers, even though you have to use a glitter glue. Every shade works very well. It's very beautiful. Even with just it being nude, I'm creating a whole variety of looks with this palette and I really fucking like it. And I didn't think I was going to, but trust my honest opinion when I say this is really nice quality. I feel like I got my money's worth. I think she did a good job. And I know I've talked some shit on influencer brands in the past, but I think she did a good job. And that being said, I'm going to wrap up my reviews in rapid fire because my battery light is blinking and I don't want it to die. So yeah, let me know what you think of all of these palettes down below. If you have any more questions for me, definitely leave them down below. I'll try my best to answer everybody. If you're new here, thank you so much for watching. If you like me, subscribe and hit like. I talk about eyeshadow palettes a whole lot on this channel. They're my favorite thing in the world. Talk to me down below, follow me on Instagram, hit like and subscribe, you know how it works. Before my battery dies, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.